Well, well, well. Welcome everyone to the GHPC developer stream for March 2024. I am joined by Kavi.
Hey, hey.
We've got some stuff to show. We always have stuff to show, but this time we've got some stuff. I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
I'm excited.
Alright. Good. Then let's just get right into it. Last update was the T-62 and some other various stuff. Just, rounding out the assets for the Soviet forces, group of Soviet forces in Germany. We've got something else now. As you guys know, we had the T-64A as the first Soviet tank. We've got the BMP-2. We've got all the other Soviet stuff. We've got T-62, but there was something missing. The flagship. This one's special because it is the only Soviet tank in the game, as of right now, that has a full-featured fire control system and pretty good armor, but we'll get into that. This is the T-80B. This is the flagship tank for the USSR in 1985. It is a development of, I believe, the Kharkiv plant. It's got 125mm smoothbore, an MZ carousel autoloader, just like the T-64. And it has a 1A33 fire control system complex with a 1G42 gunner's sight. And plenty of features to go with that. So let's put it through its paces. This tank has a laser rangefinder. You simply aim the chevron at the target, hit the rangefinder key, and you're in business. There's a range display at the bottom, very similar to the Abrams. There is an ammo indicator, similar to the Bradley. There's a ready-to-fire light, that's green. There is a designating light for the commander override, that's red, watch. There it is. It has pancreatic zoom, or continuous, however you want to call it. And it's got something that's not been shown on any other tank so far, or implemented, I should say. And that is a manual mode. So if I'm using the laser rangefinder, I have always on automatic lead. You can see the gun barrel trying to predict as I move the sight. But if I manually adjust the range, now I'm in manual mode. The range scales at the top kick into action, and I have to adjust my crosshair for the intersection on the vertical scale. So if I judge this tank to be at 1800, I aim right there. I was wrong. Skill issue. Or I can use the laser rangefinder. Oh, okay. That wasn't that wrong. Notice the range scale is now at 0 again, because we are in automatic mode again. I use the laser, I've got lead, I've got all the goodies now. The lead on this tank has a 1-second buffer, which means if you follow the target for 1 second and your reticle is not moving on the target, you've got it locked on the center, you will probably hit the target. If you are wavering on the target, or if you're drifting across the target when you fire, you're gonna miss, just like in the Abrams. The tank doesn't know what you're seeing, it doesn't know what you're thinking. You have to show it what's happening by keeping that reticle directly on the target. Let me turn my game sound down slightly. And let's turn off subtitles to get a good view. Reticle illuminates, it's pretty typical. We'll cover the night sight as well, if we get a chance, but just briefly, this has the same kind of intensifier sight setup as the other Soviet tanks. They don't have thermals at this time in history, but this one is different because it has a sliding range scale. So you can adjust your range, it puts you in manual mode of course, and you will see what range you're indicated for as that moves up and down. It also has much better performance in passive mode than any of the previous tank sights. This is a next generation sight. So you can use it very similar to how you use the M60A1 night sight with no active illumination, or you can choose to illuminate to make things easier. Depends on the situation. Back to automatic mode. Let me switch ammo types briefly. You might have seen earlier, I'm gonna drop another shot into this thing. So down at the bottom there is a B symbol in Cyrillic. That is the symbol for Sabo, APFSDS. If I fire and switch to heat, I forgot to relays. I'm showing you what not to do.
That's fine. You're learning.
Exactly. Okay, so I switch to heat, it becomes a K. Now in the real tank this would be a 7-segment display, kind of like the numbers. It'd be the boxy shape, so that K would look like an H. I don't have the custom font asset yet for that, so it's using actual characters, but that'll change. If I fire heat and switch to AG, it will turn into an O. And then there's one more ammo type, which is represented with a U, which kind of looks like a Y in Latin character. And that is for the missile. Missile is not in the tank right now. There are some flight mode variations in the real missile, which we want to represent, and they are not done yet. So the initial release of this tank will have no missile. It's got a plenty good Sabo though. I think you'll be okay for now. And then eventually we will have the Cobra, which is a gun-launched ATGM, and it's integrated into the fire control system. While I reposition and restock, do we have any questions?
Yeah, a few. Is the IR lamp on it fixed, like on the T-64, or does it follow the gun elevation?
All of them follow the gun elevations. The lamp on the T-64 shouldn't be fixed. It's possible that there was a version that had it glitched in some way, but they all follow the gun. There's a linkage arm.
We'll check that later.
Yeah. I think mine is not going to do anything because it's locked for the restock right now.
Does this have a thermal sight and continuous zoom?
It does not have a thermal sight. Thermal sights were not being used in USSR tanks until I think the fall of the USSR, honestly. They were prototyping them. I think a T-80B at some point somewhere in an experiment got one, like a single tank or something like that. A couple of T-80Us got one, and that was it. Then all of the actual upfits of thermal optics came in the Russian Federation much later on. So in the context of this game, in a Cold War gone hot in 1985, there are no thermal sights on Soviet tanks, especially T-80B.
Would you like to answer the common question for all our streams?
Which one?
ERA on the T80.
Nope, there will not be ERA. ERA was just starting to come into theater in 85, which means we get to decide if we want to call it before or after the line. And considering that it would be a technical effort to get ERA working, or rather to get our ERA code up to standard, because it's very old, it's from the original demo. It's not rated high priority. We have so much other stuff to get done for the release of the game that it wouldn't make sense to commit the art team and the programming team to doing an ERA overhaul just for one tank. That could come in a DLC or something, we'll see.
Someone asked, what's the big hole on the right side of the turret?
It is not a hole in the turret. There is a piece, I believe that's for the fording kit. So when you're doing deep water crossings, you put this snorkel, and I could be wrong, I haven't studied the gear in a second, but I'm pretty sure this is part of that kit. You have to get the tank, the intake to not suck in water, so you provide an extension for it to suck in air as you're crossing the water. That's just some kind of mounting piece for that system, if I'm not mistaken.
Someone mentions the subwoofer is in there. Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go with that. Will we ever get rivers? Don't know. We'll see. I don't know if there are rivers in here. What do you think?
I don't think rivers are real, honestly.
Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, like, you look around the room, do you see a river?
That's the question.
This fire control
most
system.
Excited. Oh, go ahead, go.
This fire control system is very hard to screw up. You can screw it up if you don't follow the target properly. Like I said, if you're drifting your reticle across the target as you fire, the tank doesn't know where the target is, it can't help you. But if you're doing it properly, so like here, I'm following the center of the target and I'm keeping it stationary on the target, same speed. Now I'm definitely hitting. There we go. I was tempting fate a little bit there with that confidence statement. But yeah, you have to match the speed, and if you match the speed and your range is right, you will hit. You don't see any drifting reticle, because unlike the Abrams, this tank has a 2-axis stabilized gun sight mirror. So that means that the gun sight mirror assembly can rotate horizontally and vertically. In the Abrams, it only rotates vertically, in the early Abrams, like in this game. So that means it can compensate for the gun elevation, but it can't compensate for the turret turning. When you are doing lead in the Abrams, the turret turns ahead of the target to try to hit the moving shot, and the reticle has to go back to show where it's going to land. In the T80, the gun sight turns both ways. So when the turret swings ahead of the target and the gun swings up, the sight turns down and back, and you are left aiming in the same direction you were. No reticle drift at all. It's pretty cool. They did bring that feature to the Abrams in the M1A2, but that's out of time frame for us. This is incredibly easy to use. Let me laser closer spot here. So if you're at the minimum zoom, you can actually see the gun barrel. And like I said, it's compensating horizontally, so that gun is not turning on its own. That's the entire turret turning to account for lead. And my gun sight is counter-rotating. So it looks like I'm just seeing normal behavior, whatever I tell it to do, the sight does. But the turret of the tank is actually turning under me, ahead of where I'm aiming. Anyway, let's pop up the AAR.
T64A shooting range? We'll have to fix that.
Yeah, this is a work in progress build, so there's a couple of things that could come up. We're not releasing this today. It needs a little bit more time in the bug fixing phase. but we had it ready enough to show the tank by stream. So that's our treat, is you get an early preview.
Yeah.
This has got...
Now we're in the soon schedule
Yeah.
of putting together a final release.
Which is, what, a week or so, maybe?
We'll see.
Yeah, we don't want to
We'll see how I
put an
feel.
exact date, yeah. If Kavi's in a good mood, we could get the patch soon.
That's about right.
Let's briefly go over the setup here. This is your typical Soviet tank design. It's got a carousel autoloader. This is the MZ carousel, which has the vertical charges and a few more rounds than the AZ carousel in the T-72. T-64 and T-80 share this carousel. The other one is in T-72 and T-90, because T-90 is just an overgrown T-72. It has a wet rack, which is the nickname for fuel tanks that have cutouts, cavities in them for the rounds to sit. And by the way, for those who don't know, a wet rack doesn't actually have the rounds immersed in fuel. It's just the name. There are actual divots in the shape of the fuel tank. It's still exterior to the fuel tank, but it's in a pocket that's been made in the shape of the ammunition pieces. What else? This got a standard load of Soviet ammo. That's going to be 3BM32 Vant for the high logistics state, and then 22 and 15 for lower. We've got composite on the front hull. This is let's get the surface layers first so you can see. There is a 30mm weld-on plate, high hardness steel. There is the front surface armor. I think that was 60 or 45. I can't remember if it was 60 or 45. Anyway, steel, followed by 2 layers of glass textilite, then more steel, and this creates a composite sandwich array. This is very similar to the T-72 and the T-64, with the exception that the extra weld-on plate on the front makes this much stronger in practice than the other two tanks. Likewise, the turret is very similar to the T-72A or T-72M1, basically the same tank. The difference is the shape of this turret lends to a much stronger result, and there is a bigger wraparound of the composite pockets. They go further across the sides. This is it's called quartz. It's a sintered quartz ceramic. These are just big chunks that they cast the turret around. They're very stable, very sturdy, much less problematic than the ultra porcelain balls in the T-64 turret, which is why they went back to it for the T-80. And in practice, this is going to be slightly better protected than the T-72M1 all around, or from the frontal aspect, I mean, top and bottom. Better hull plate, better turret, and then the fire control system is obviously far superior. So this is the best tank in the Soviet arsenal in 85, and consequently the best Soviet tank in GHPC. It will remain so. There's no better one. There are other tanks that we could include if we have time, but this is going to be the king for now, until expansions come.
So you're saying it's better than the Abrams?
No. Abrams has it beat in a couple areas. But when you get into things like T-80 versus Abrams, it starts to be a lot less obvious what's better. Because you're no longer talking about giant differences in armor and munition capabilities. You're talking about like a few millimeters here and there, or it depends what kind of round you're hitting it with or whatever. The distinction starts to be more about taste. Would you rather have the Soviet design or the American design? How important do you think thermals are? That kind of thing. So this is a pure tank for the Abrams, essentially. There's not enough difference between them that I would call this inferior. It can hold its own. We'll get into that if we have time for a mission with the Abrams.
What's the effective range on this?
Like all the rest of them, they're designed to be engaging to 2-3 kilometers, but You can make really long shots with this just like you can with any other tank. And if you're shooting a target that's not heavily armored and your round's still got energy in it, you're still going to do some damage. Abrams can laze out to 4 kilometers. I think this one can as well. I don't remember the exact limit, but effective range is going to be 2 or 3 kilometers most of the time, just like every other tank.
If I were to pit this in a 1.5 kilometer range against an Abrams and fired a Sabo from the Abrams towards the just the front area, would I be able to penetrate?
You'd be penetrating the Abrams, or the Abrams shooting this. Sorry, I didn't.
Abrams shooting this, the T-80.
Right. Abrams shooting this, I believe, at 1,500 meters is around where it starts to be down to luck whether it gets through or not. At close range, the M833 from the American tanks will still go through. Hull and turret if you're not too far to the sides. Because the turret, it's stronger on the side angles, right? If you're shooting this front part, it's pretty flat. If you go over to the side, you got more material to go through. So you want to hit close to the gun to get the best chance, especially because the composite is not there in right by the barrel. But anyway, for the hull, it's pretty good at resisting at about 2 kilometers. At 1,500, I think it would come down to what angle are you at. Is there any hull elevation or some other factor? There's also the weakened zone around the driver's head, because the driver's head needs to physically fit in that spot, so the composite layers can't continue in the same plane that they were in. They have to have it cut out around him, and you can see that in the armor model.
So you're saying the humans are the weakness to this vehicle?
Yes. Okay. Just like every other Soviet tank of this era, the driver's viewport area and the lower front plate are weaker. The turret right next to the gun is weaker. Other than that, this is pretty beastly amount of protection. It's quite a treat when you're used to dealing with like T-72M or something, or T-55, God forbid. So let's go back to menu. Let's play an actual mission.
Let's do that. How about you answer the second most asked question in our live streams?
And what's that?
Will we be able to get X tank?
Nobody knows. I know, but I'm not telling.
Chieftain, Challenger 1, Leopard 1. Pick your favorite tank.
There is a spreadsheet floating around that tracks all of the tanks that we have confirmed publicly to be coming. It does not list every tank that's coming to the game. It does not list every tank we're working on. But it has all the ones that we've said yes. That one does include the Leopard 1, I believe A1, A2, and a Leopard 2 variant. But if you're asking about anything else, unless it's on that sheet, we're just going to say, I don't know. As a hint, though, the only factions that are going to be in the game on release before expansions come are the US, USSR, and East and West Germany. So if you're asking about a British tank, or a French tank, or something else that's not one of those 4, then the answer is no. Alright, let's roll out. Very simple, in and out 20 minutes. I just gotta go down this draw and take whatever's over here. Surely nothing will go wrong.
I'm really surprised we put in such a easy mission, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what you got there?
This is an Mi-2. Let me get a better angle on it. This is a scout helicopter. It's roughly the equivalent of the Kiowa or the BO-105 in employment. It's taking fire, so it's going to skedaddle. That's the technical term. Another fine piece of artwork by our vehicle lead, Harry. We've had this one in the pipe for a while, just like a lot of other stuff. Never really talked about it, and now it's here. Oh, wait, hold on. Plane spotting time. MiG-21. Yep, so there he goes. And for his part, he has spotted a target for us. The helicopters are hooked up to the radio system. So I'm going to drop artillery on whatever kind of APC that is. I don't know if it's an M113 or a Bradley, but whatever it is, it needs to die.
It's an enemy. That's all that matters. Taking bets. Do we think Josh can complete the mission?
Yeah,
you know,
we need to find out how much of a skill issue I have today. Let's make your predictions now. Am I surviving this?
I mean, that'd be a pretty easy prediction, honestly. It's not like I'm playing here. Let's be fair.
That's true. If you were playing, then it would be instant win.
Of course. But I can't do that. We need you to show up again.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days. One of these days. Would you consider adding the ability to choose the voice for each individual crew member? Keep up the great work. No, that is not something that we want to do. The voice system, as it is set up right now, gets crew members so that they do not overlap with each other. And honestly, it's all programmatic. I wouldn't worry about trying to get your favorite voice actor into your tank. Chances are, you switch to a different unit and you'll hear them.
Yep. There is some stuff going on and I cannot see it yet. I know everybody wants to hear Firehorse going, right, but, you know, you can't have it every time.
The goat. I missed this. Are the burger tank crews bigger than the Soviet crews to reflect their highly nutritious corn-fed diet? Hey man, don't you be shaming them.
It's like, always play as packed so that you get a smaller hitbox. Like playing Odd Job in GoldenEye. Was it Odd Job then? I think it was.
I think so.
Oh. While I'm over here making jokes, they're shooting at me.
This is the skill issue right here. Is the tank really that slow?
I had it cruise controlled to 20 kilometers an hour, so no, it's not.
Good. I was about to say we wouldn't put it in there at any other speed, but I always forget about cruise control on these.
Yeah.
I'm always flooring it.
Yeah, I don't really want to hold W, because I'm just going to bounce around all over the place and not do anything useful. That's called an average work day.
Classic Josh, never holding W. Always holds the L. Oh!
So, that's unfortunate. Would you believe I'd never crash, like, ever? And of course, as soon as I'm on stream.
This is actually true. It has been a very long time, if ever, that has happened.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Did you... So, Josh, since I'm here, as a developer, I'd like to take some time to get some feedback from you. What were you doing at the time of the crash? What was happening?
Well, I'm gonna use my big gamer brain, and I'm gonna say the T80 is broken because when I was playing the T80, the game crashed. You need to fix the T80, Kavi.
Fair. That's fair.
And I'll throw in a bonus.
Okay.
If you don't respond to my bug report, I'm gonna leave a bad review. So think about that.
I have been told
All right.
I've been told.
Okay. Glad we got that sorted.
Did you just fire a shot? Did it just hit?
I think someone else fired a shot that just hit.
Okay. Wow.
All right.
Yeah, like
so
how long have we been doing these streams now? 2 years maybe? Since the
Around
patron's
there,
been up,
yeah.
right? Yeah. We've never had a crash.
I want to
Live.
say late 2020 was when we started, or maybe 2021. It's been more than 2 years at this
Yeah.
point, I think.
Been a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so for our first try at this mission, we've got the T-80B. Wonderful tank.
I'll give you this. You didn't technically fail that mission. You crashed.
That's true.
So, yeah, you get another shot at this.
Refund all the bets, place them again. We need to have the feature where you can gamble channel points based on predictions. I don't think we qualify for that because Twitch wants you to stream like every day, not just audience size. So they're like, "Hey, buddy, only another week of streams till you can qualify for affiliate." And I'm like, "No. How about I don't?"
Get them Yanks, comrade Josh. Yep.
Run away! Run away! Can he get out without his tail boom getting shot? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. There's a very exciting change. We fixed the game. Now, if you shoot a helicopter in the tail boom, and it hits the drive shaft, or if it hits the rotor drive at the back, it will spiral out of control and crash. I know that was holding us back. That was preventing the game from being really playable. Actually, if you think about it.
Honestly,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, that's all sorted out now.
Josh was saddled with other tasks. He said, "Blake, I need you to go in and fix this. It is the crux of the game at this point."
Maybe I'll find a mission with a helicopter and shoot it in the tail on purpose so we can see it. If there's time.
You should. I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah. Oh, he did spot something for me. Let's take that opportunity while we have it.
Any plan to add any decal visual feedback on the sights when hit destroyed? So like if your sight gets like a shot in it, like broken glass, I assume.
I'd say that's not out of the question, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's planned right now. There's a lot of things like that. It's like we've definitely thought of them, but they're on a big list of maybe one day when we're polishing things, we would look at that.
Right.
As a part of making the game, we spent a lot of time thinking about what we could do to the game. So most of the really obvious stuff we've either already written down on a to-do list or we've at least thought about it. I'm gonna call Cass. I'm gonna plunk it right in there, and they can find their own targets.
That Dishka able to shoot? Not yet.
Nope. There are upcoming features, like crew being able to switch what station they're controlling. And as part of that, you'll be able to operate rough guns if they require you to come out of the tank to grab them.
When will actual crew members be teased, streamed? Will the commander machine guns be usable when crew arrives?
I don't know if we'll wait till the crew models are animated or if we'll do kind of an in-between where you just operate them as a ghost, a disembodied head. We will see how it goes.
The disembodied head is big on the realism factor, honestly.
Yeah.
That's just what you get. So I'll say this. You're doing much better than the last time.
Mother.
I mean, well, I take the blame on that.
This is very okay. So I made this build yesterday, right, just to make sure it was ready in time. I played for it had to be 3 hours last night. Not
No
one
issues.
problem. Yep.
Yeah.
The same review, the
good.
same build. It's like I went through a pretty detailed review of it to make sure it was okay. All right, I have an idea. We'll play part 2 this time.
Okay.
Surely,
All right.
surely that one's not
That will be fine.
cursed.
What could go wrong? So you didn't fail either of those missions.
Yes, that is true.
And technically, it was my fault the second time. So I'm gonna own up to that.
Okay, all right. You get a warning this time.
Thank you. I'll do better in the future. Someone posted in the Discord, uninstall melon loader action scripter. That's wonderful.
Yep. If you think about it, the T80 is a pack to increase lethality modification to the game. So
Really? Kavi, you sabotage the stream. Not by choice. Alright? But, I mean, twice in one stream, yeah. We'll check that out.
I'm pretty sure it's the same issue we're already tracking. I'm just annoyed
Probably.
that it chose today to decide it also affects me.
Yeah. Very, very rarely do we get builds having issues on our machines. Will the M901 be drivable anytime soon? Well, due to a bug, you could drive it right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, you got to act fast though, because we've patched out the issue, or internally we fixed the issue where you can switch to vehicles you're not supposed to have. So if you want to try the M901 before it's done, you're gonna have to find it in a mission and get close to it and use the instant swap, and then you can take over it. That's not supposed to be able to happen. We wanted to finish the reloading sequence properly before we made that playable, but it is what it is. Blake, why would you do this?
That's on you, buddy. I'm sorry. I will take responsibility for the second crash. I will not take responsibility for what you do inside of that thing.
Okay.
If you even call that, fighting.
I do, actually.
What do y'all think of the mods available? Obviously, you don't directly support them, but do you find them interesting and cool, or...
There are a couple.
Yeah.
I like the ones that add new features. Like Atlas has some pretty cool stuff where he's experimenting with new behaviors and things. The ones that just like copy paste ammo and make the numbers higher, I mean, I can see why people would like it, but I don't find that interesting at all.
I like the passion some people have around it.
Yeah, it's cool to see all the ideas people have for sure, and as long as it doesn't interfere with our development process, we're cool to let people make mods and share mods and do whatever.
Will there be T-80 NATO missions, as in missions to fight it?
I'm sure there will be eventually. Right now you can do it in the campaign. Currently the patch is going to release with 2 missions that feature the T-80 as you play as the T-80, and none where you play against it. But considering that we still have plenty of time before the game comes out, I think there will be T-80 missions where you fight them in the future.
Will there be an option to disable blur in gunsight while the tank is moving? Now it causes some motion sickness. The option is to stop moving while in sight.
Yeah, the point is to make it hard to use the gun sight as your primary optic while you're driving around at speed. So, yeah,
helicopter fell.
rip to that hind. Did you see it was spinning?
Yes, I did.
That was a tail boom hit. Good job, Copy.
Thank you. Try.
So basically, if you want to move and use your gun optic at the same time, you need to move slowly. You need to be at 10, 20 kilometers an hour. Cruise control it. If you're driving around fast enough that it's shaking and it's making you sick, it's probably that you're in the speed range where you're not supposed to be driving around in the sight. Like, you're supposed to be using the commander view for your navigation. That's the intended purpose.
And that was their follow-up question, so what's the point of stabilization? Then stabilization's not going to help you if you're driving at that high of a speed.
Yeah. Now, on the M60, the stabilizer of the optic is basically non-existent. There's a mechanical linkage that connects the gun lift to the optic. And in real life, that was known as being incredibly shaky. It would vibrate all over the place. And that's why it does that in GHPC. Like, we did that deliberately. So in the M60, you're just going to have a bad time no matter what. Good luck. But that's the way that that vehicle was, because it was just a horrendous hodgepodge of add-on parts and stopgaps and whatnot. Like glorified Korean War tank. I'm gonna take this road. Never tried this road before.
Would you say it's the road less traveled?
You could say that.
Thank you.
I wouldn't. You could.
Damn it. How'd you guys get the sounds of the autoloaders? We have very talented sound engineers.
Yep. We pulled...
And very talented recorders of some things, right? Or did we not?
I think what we did for that one was we found as many videos of the carousels operating in isolation as we could. Like training and maintenance and whatever, all the recordings we could find. We dumped them all on the audio engineer and said, hey, make this. And then they synthesized it using like industrial equipment samples and clean recordings that they had license for. We don't just rip stuff from videos because, I mean, you can't do that. It's like...
Can't do that.
Yeah, it's copyright infringement. With permission you could, but usually videos have terrible quality anyway, so you wouldn't want to. But we usually provide as much reference material as we can, and then we have somebody who's good at doing that as a profession make a custom sound, and then that's what we go with. We actually have new sounds for the carousel autoloaders that are not in yet, because they're waiting on some code changes to support them. So right now, all the carousels in Soviet-designed tanks sound the same in the game, but really the AZ would sound different from the MZ when you reload. That will eventually happen. I'm getting a little nervous that I haven't seen any targets in a while. I'm going to speed it up.
Wow, look at that fire. That's good.
Yep. That's what remains of the Hind.
RIP.
Yep.
I think we get this question. I think we get this question once a stream, but I want to be sure that I answered it correctly. Is it planned for the injury state of a crew member to impact their effectiveness?
It's possible. It's been a while since we did anything with the crew health system, so I'm not sure if or when that could happen. Right now, it's either they can do their job or they can't. If you lose the loader, someone else takes over. But I don't know. If we're feeling spicy, maybe we would make it affect their speed or something in the future. It affects their panic, though. That's the one thing it does do. If the crew member is injured, they become panicked faster and for longer, and it can take some time to settle back down. No targets
good.
spotted.
We were on the same page at least.
Yeah.
Is Unity a good game engine for this type of project? Why not proprietary? No, it's the worst. We have chosen the worst engine to utilize, and we just want to continue using that to hurt ourselves. I hurt myself with Unity daily. Josh, how often do you hurt yourself with Unity?
You know, whenever I can.
Whenever
So
you can.
here's the real answer to that question. No engine off the shelf is optimized for this. You always have to do custom work. You always have to write clever code. The only thing you're going to have an easy time making with Unity, Unreal, it doesn't matter what, is like a chord or a shooter or something. Something that's so common that they've got built-in tools and expectations for it. If you're making anything out of the ordinary, you're going to be doing all your own work and your own optimization. The reason we don't go proprietary is because we don't have a game engine programmer on staff, and we don't want to hire one. Like, we don't have budget for that. So we could take all that effort to do something, try to reinvent the wheel, or we could just take an off-the-shelf engine and then go through the work of making sure that it's working with our design. And we chose the latter.
Yep. Will multiplayer ever be added to the game? Yes. PvE co-op will be added to the game eventually.
If you want to know the general direction of features that are coming, including multiplayer, go to the website, gunnerheatpc.com, and look at the roadmap. The roadmap has that. It has broad strokes, a bunch of stuff that's happening. Where am I getting shot from?
Josh.
Oh. Hello. Fine time to switch to this tank. Alright. Well, I want to at least see who did that. I can't believe I spent all that time driving down that road, and the result was getting hit by the goddamn M901. Look at him.
You hate to see it.
Mm-hmm. Look at this smug asshole sitting behind the dirt pile. Here's
Just
your missile,
pogging
sir.
at you.
Yep. Here's
Will
the ATGM you
PvP
ordered.
Will PvP ever be added? Not likely.
It's a lot of things would have to go right before we thought about PvP. We're not gonna like completely rule it out, but it's not in the plan right now. Yeah, so as you can see from this hit,
Oof.
you can have your frontal armor toward the toe, but if the toe decides to hit somewhere where you don't have armor, then that's it. That was luck of the draw. If he'd hit 2 feet to the left, I would have been fine. 2 feet down, same thing. Maybe 1 foot. Lower plate's a little dangerous. Okay, I'm just gonna charge in. I'm gonna get some action. Show the hind hit. Too late.
That would have been good.
Yep.
You once mentioned that you would like to add SPAAGs into the game. Could they be introduced like the M901 is currently, or off map as a call-in?
SPAAGs. I'm not really sure how it'll turn out. I mean, there's going to be SPAA, probably. It just makes sense if we're portraying the combined arms situation properly, but I don't know exactly what form it'll take. That's a future problem for farther down the to-do list, for sure. Let's try to hit top speed.
Will the site be animated by the time the T80 goes live?
Animated in
Not
what
all.
way? Because it is already animated. It
Yeah.
has a manual mode where you can scroll it up and down like I'm doing now. It has an auto mode where you use the laser and it stays stationary. The gun swings around when you're in lead mode. I mean, it's functional. I don't know what animation you want.
The best one, Josh, please. I missed it in the chat, but someone brought it up in the Discord. What if Mr. Beast were to sponsor your game? Mr. Beast, EA, anyone, as a investor or a publisher, would have to have a considerable bag of money for us to drop our independent status. That allows us a lot of freedom on what we want to create, and for us, a publisher is just not really worth it, or really an angel investor, even in that sense, is not really worth it.
Yeah, money always comes with strings. Even investors who say that they don't want control, there's still influence.
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there.
We are in a pretty good situation where we don't have that problem, and we still have enough money to keep making the game. I don't think I can overstate how good of a situation that is and how much we'd want to hold on to that. See if I can pull off a moving shot.
Any news for West Germany?
It's on the roadmap.
Yep. When it's ready, we'll tell you about it.
Ooh. I hit him and he's not dead.
You just gotta hit him again.
That's illegal. Can't do that.
Our Steam sale's still going strong. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
still working on the game.
We make enough to work on the game. That's all we need.
Some days I eat 2 packs of ramen. Thank you very much. Pretty good. We're a very small team. We're fairly lean. And we currently have 4 or 5 people full-time, several contractors. And while that results in having to be spread a little bit thin, we're able to work on the things that we feel are priority.
Yeah.
So
I'd say at any
Right
given moment there are 8 or 9 people working on the game. Half of whom are part-timers, something like that.
yeah, it's varied. Sometimes it's like 8 people, sometimes it's 12. Really depends on what we're trying to release at a given time, or what we're planning forward for.
Yeah.
The heli crashed in the same place. I don't know if it did. It did crash,
Pretty
though.
similar place, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna hit the low ground this time. I don't like that, that road where it comes out is too exposed.
You're too exposed. Well, I mean, yeah, you were before, now you're not going.
Just a random piece of news for people who play the Bradley a lot and notice that if you restock when you don't need to, it just locks the whole vehicle. That's been fixed. When this update comes out, that bug will be gone. It was frequently reported.
Does crash heli smoke affect AI vision?
It does. It didn't always, but it does. If you hide behind the giant smoke column from a hind that went down or something, they will also not be able to see you.
Favorite tank you want to add but can't because it wasn't at Fulda? Clearly, Bob Semple.
I'm gonna go with it not in theater, because maybe something was at Fulda but a different time.
Sure.
And in that case, I would say my 2 favorites that I would want to see at some point are the M1A2 and the T-72B 1989.
Mm. Those are good choices, but they're not pubs. So
That's
I
true.
disagree.
Listen,
You
you already
are
took
wrong.
the good one.
That's fair.
Not today, Bradley. Fuck.
Nice. What is the red dot in the sight again?
Red dot is when the commander has control of the gun. So when
Okay.
I'm designating, the
You're doing
red
an
dot lights
override,
up.
basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we've gotten further. We have a checkbox. I'm gonna call Cass again.
Nice.
And if I have to move, okay, this is very dangerous because I don't have smoke that can block the enemy's vision. If I remember correctly, they are M60A3s? Yeah, they're M60A3s. I don't carry smoke that can block thermals. My artillery smoke can block thermals, but I have to know where they're looking at me from before I know where to deploy the smoke. I can't just drop smoke in front of myself. I'll be blind, and if I move up, it's useless. You want to drop smoke in front of the enemy, or in between the enemy and you somewhere, so that you still have room to see things and maneuver, and they're blind. And the angles work out well too, because the closer it is to the enemy, the more arc area you have to maneuver in while they still can't see you. Just the way the triangle works. So I need to move forward carefully and see where the next enemies are before I drop concealment. But we're also running out of time. So next time I
started
die,
a little late.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, 5 minutes, let's say.
Sure.
I've started the clock.
That was a rocket strike. Hopefully he hit anything. Alright, we're getting a lot of activity from over here. I'm gonna divert because I think wandering right out in the middle again will be bad news. I know I haven't gotten this far yet, but off stream I played this mission. I tried rolling right down toward the mark. I got my ass handed to me. It was not good. Okay, tank spotted. Doing Cass, we're doing smoke.
That's a lot.
Yep. Now that I know where they are, and they don't know where I am, I'm going to maneuver on them. Gonna go in echelon right. Oh wait, I forgot I'm alone. If I had wingmen with me, I would go in echelon right so they could bring their guns to bear.
Echelon of one.
Yep. The loneliest echelon. Okay, with any luck they didn't see me when I made that slight tactical blunder of poking out in the open like that. It's never what you want to see. God damn it.
Oh.
I thought there was only the one group. There are two.
Oh, man.
Well, let's put it this way. Now that you've seen how not to play the mission, oh god, they're really mad at me. Your challenge your challenge is when the patch comes out, do better than I did. Show me how it's done.
Be more like me.
Why, what did you do?
I mean, first run through any mission, I complete it. Like, that's just easy. I know you're still working at it, and that's fine. It's okay. We'll get there.
So this is what I was talking about earlier with the turret armor. If you go far enough to the side, it doesn't really matter how good it is. There's so much material in the way, it just can't do anything.
Gotcha.
In fact, it even works in the M60's favor. Damn. Hitting that extreme slope. Alright, well, enough of me failing at that.
Hey, you tried your best, all right?
Yep.
And that's okay.
And where did I end up? Up in the air, flipping around, and back down. Okay.
Final notes
Final
to leave the
notes.
stream.
Sure. Let me pull up some music. Final notes. This update is coming out soon, once we've done some bug fixing. The T80 is, it's gonna be a lot of fun, I think. It's gonna change the balance for what balance we do have. It's all historical based anyway, but it's the big piece of the picture that was missing in the past. When the game came out, it was a stomp fest. It was Abrams beating up on a bunch of weaker tanks. It was a very incomplete picture of who would have been fighting and what they would have been using. The Soviets being there is a large chunk of that missing picture now in place. The T-80 being there explains why the Abrams had to be as good as it is, and why they did things like rushing the M1IP into production when the M1A1 wasn't ready yet with the larger cannon. There is another piece missing, of course, besides obvious stuff like infantry, which is West Germany. So we still need the Leopards and all the other things that the West German army would have had. But unlike the T-80, those don't upset the power balance. The Abrams is already really good, the Leopard is just kind of an Abrams equivalent. So this is, I think, the last big shift in the tank matchups, the T-80 arriving in the game. After this, it's mostly features that'll change the picture. Infantry, whatever kind of tactical controls we do, AI improvements, the overhauled campaign, which I'm pretty excited for, because right now it's just a random mission generator. Oh, and speaking of the music, this track, this is the rework of Target Acquired, which has been in the unofficial set of GHPC songs since almost the beginning. It was one of the first ones Majoris made for us. We'd had him refresh it a little bit, and it is going into the official soundtrack when this update comes out. And it may even make an appearance in the game. We'll have to see. So anyway, I've talked enough. It's time for me to do another hour of talking in the patron Q&A. So for those of you who are Patreon subscribers for GHPC, we will see you in the Discord stage momentarily. For everybody else, we appreciate you stopping by, watching me get blown up, and we'll see you in 2 months.
Bye-bye.